Hello and welcome to another edition of XFeed. Sorry if you got a notification a momento ago. It started and then it said the YouTube portion of it didn't work, and then I didn't want to go back and have to redo the upload and all that other stuff, so we just kind of waited uno momento for it. So today we're going off the deep end big time again. Holy smokes. I think the Great Awakening, the Great Fight Back, the Great I don't even know what the hell we want to call it at this point, but I think people are about to rise up like no other time in history, except for, at some point in time when it's probably a big thing. And it's going to start with the internet. It's going to go way beyond that. And I think, everything is going to change within the next 5 years. And we're going to try to package this all together. Obviously, we're going to talk about some NFTs and that kind of stuff. But then the later half in this, we're going to get into some greasy situations that's going around the globe, essentially. So appreciate you guys coming through. Let's get into it. Benjamin, at one point we all thought Sandbox was going to be the premier metaverse land and fought over where our plots were located. Do you remember the innocent time when we really thought that Sandbox was going to be the be all and the end all of the metaverses? You had the major IPs, Roller Coaster Tycoon. You had all of these different individuals where BitBoy was a huge influencer at the time, had a huge plot of land. You had Atari that was going to build out different worlds. You had Zedrun that was wildly popular at the time, and everybody was trying to get next to certain areas. And then they continued to have land sales for whatever reason, obviously because they could make money, but the likes of The Walking Dead, they started having branded Walking Dead areas where you could try to buy land around that. I don't even know if that's still going on. We saw the likes of like Manchester City at one point also doing something, because I remember there was like a Sergio Aguero, which is one of like their most famous players ever. They had like a certain event for him. What? Why don't we have the love for Sandbox anymore? What's going on? So there's been all of this like just complete friggin' freak out over the whole Banks situation. If you don't know who Banks is, basically FaZe Clan, the esports team, was founded by him. He's now coming out saying, I've never scammed, and everybody's like, okay, well, you scammed on CSGO, Wild Skins, okay, Bears, MLG, Save the Kids, Lucky, all these other things, right? And then somebody else added a couple of projects in here, but I wanted to just like look at these projects because some of you will have huge nostalgia kicks from this. So Swampverse, Acrocalypse, and Cosmic Lab Ducks. Swampverse, I mean, this did 7,000 plus Ethereum and volume. People were super excited. I feel like there was a time where there was a ton of collections that got attention. Crazy Lizard Army would be amongst this time as well, that got bids. A lot of other collections didn't, but certain ones got and found, I don't know, product market fit, kind of. I don't know if that's like the right terminology, but in the essence of the time, that was the thing. I think there was supposed to be some token associated with these. I think there was like baby toads that were coming with them at some point as well. Acrocalypse, the founder Sam, was this huge ingenious coder everybody pitched on. This one went for 159 ETH total volume. They wanted to do a token called Paper, but then there was another collection that also did Paper, and so I don't know if it was a lawsuit or a fight or whatever the hell it was, but there was two collections that were fighting over the likes for Paper, which we also have the Weather Report, and what the hell is Denton Fields was the artist. That's a whole nother story. And then Cosmic Ducks, this was another one. I actually know the guy who created these, and I thought it was really cool, but again, a collection was able to do just under 2,000 ETH volume, but then nothing really ended up happening with it. And is it because of royalties? Is it because of the distractions around the space? That is ultimately the question. So Disney Pinnacle, if you've noticed, has been the talk of the timeline for the past several days. And Drew Watson saying, imagine they start selling Disney Pinnacle NFTs in Disney parks. This shit is going to pop. Is a good point, because right now, generally speaking, it's all been done online. However, I will say the Disney Plus partnership that they did, where people got like free capsules monthly, I think that one is going to be probably the biggest onboarder until they get down to doing the in-person stuff, and we'll see what the reaction is for that. And then Carson adding to this point, what makes me think Disney Pinnacle Collection has some serious lags? $8 to $10 billion estimated market value for Disney collectibles. And the kicker, it's actually pretty fun to collect. App is great, community is growing. Dapper Labs has a ton of experience already with Top Shot. And so I don't necessarily disagree with this, but it is kind of insane when you see the $8 to $10 billion figures for Disney collectibles as a whole. Does that make people go out and run and scoop up the floors? We shall see. So there was a post yesterday from Adam Hollander, who's working over at OpenSea, and it was regarding the OpenSea airdrop that everybody is waiting for. He says, we'll be looking at past history and volume from different eras and years. And while I can't make any commitments or share specifics, there are, of course, profiles of users. Example, someone who was here in the bull market and never came back, or someone who just showed up now to farm, or someone who was an OG, never left, stayed through the bear, and is still here. This is being evaluated by the foundation. This has caused so much uproar for like kind of weird reasons, because people are saying, well, you're just going to reward the people that are new, and that's not what he's saying at all. Yo, Harry Swan, what's going on, brother? How we doing? Long time no see. Good to see you. Good to see you. But to me, this says, okay, they're going to have kind of a list of different people, and they'll fall under potentially 3 categories. If we're going to take this at face value of, you know, the gold members, and then the silver members, and then the bronze members, depending on like what tier, what activity, and people could end up finding themselves in either one, depending on their farming, depending on how much they purchased previously. It's all under the sun. Senator Cynthia Lummis in the U.S. proud to introduce the 21st Century Mortgage Act to make home ownership more accessible for young Americans who are embracing the digital age. And this is a huge component because it's not just you or I that's getting into the industry. There's a lot of younger people that seem to be hard, fast, and true. We like it. So seeing this sort of thing happening is very interesting. The American dream of home ownership is not a reality for many young people. This legislation embraces an innovative path to wealth building, keeping in mind the growing number of young Americans who possess digital assets. We're living in a digital age, and rather than punishing innovation, government agencies must evolve to meet the needs of modern, forward-thinking generation. So there's like I don't really want to go through like the whole breakdown of this, but what does it look like when we have assets, right? Like, are we talking about stable coins? And if me or Harry Swan have a bunch of stable coins, they're like, hey, you know what? We can assess that and add that to your mortgage allowance. Or is it based on Bitcoin? Is it on Ethereum? Does it include a whole slew of the quote unquote altcoins or meme coins? Or what does this entail? I feel like there's going to be somewhat of specifics with it, but we'll see what comes out from it. Do you remember this NFT Twitter video from back in the day? Bobby Hundreds, the Atom Bomb Squad. This is a nostalgia kick. So at the time, there was a whole bunch of different things that X offered in terms of having your profile have an octagon to show that it was an NFT that was yours. Gutter Cat Gang, Robotos, Deadfellas, Crypto Moris. I haven't seen Crypto Moris on the timeline. Holy smokes. NFT profile photos. They advertised it to then just take it away later. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Crazy. All right. J Chain saying I got hacked. Let's see what they have to say. Always pay attention on the security front.
Security 101. I did recently get hacked. It ended up being a little bit worse than I thought it was going to be. Unfortunately, it is what it is. They're learning lessons. We can listen. I've got a tattoo that says "always half full." I'm an eternal optimist. I have been and always will be. And so what we do is we find ways to make a shitty situation either a learning lesson. Like the takeaway's got to be a net positive. Mike, I'll bring you up as a co-host. So with that being said, here, look, I get the opportunity. I've got a morning show. Sometimes we get a really big crowd. Sometimes I get a really good replay on the show. And so at the end of the day, if my story resonates with somebody, because trust me, I put out a post last night. I had a couple people reach back out to me and said that they've been hacked recently. So I intimately know like close people to me, about 4 people that have been hacked within the last month or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. And so they're making their way around. And
holy smokes, I'm waiting to hear how he got hacked.
We have said before on the show, guys, you gotta think the scammers come out in full force. This particular attack that I got was kind of like right up my alley, I was asked to be on a podcast. We went back and forth for a few weeks. This wasn't like something that happened overnight. We went back and forth for a few weeks. I recorded the full fucking podcast.
Okay, so I guess like from my, I'm trying to. I mean, obviously this guy's like a big deal, right? But he said he's going back and forth with somebody for like a few weeks, and I feel, like for the RWA segments podcast that we do, it's like I message somebody, we're like, hey, what's going on? We're going to record at this time. And they're like, okay, cool. And that's it. It's not like a hefty back and forth. So I'm curious what like that back and forth looked like
before all this went down, but there were some problems leading up to it. And we'll go through all of that in a second here. I just want to remind you guys, this is Web3 Breakfast. This is the club. We're going to be talking about operational security 101 today. And I feel like even though I've been in the space for many years.
Bro, he doesn't even go. He says 2 minutes. I got hacked, and then doesn't even say anything. That's crazy. But okay, so basically, it looks like he maybe downloaded software or got a link for the podcast, and there was some other issue with it. But yeah, listen, if there's ever kind of some sort of compromise you guys have, always share in the timeline so people can know. But yeah, wow, I thought they were actually going to go into like what happened there. So SEC approves in-kind redemptions for Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. This is kind of a big deal for Bitcoin, but is an absolutely giga-huge deal for ETH. Basically, all ETH and ETFs will be redeemable for real ETH, which you can use on-chain without any change to cost basis or the need to sell. A little bit of a different onboarding tactic. We see it. I love to see it. Mike Novogratz from Galaxy Digital changing his profile to a Nakamigos. Anon, absolutely loving that. Super weird timeline that we are in. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's go down the rabbit hole of the crazy, stupid stuff that is continuing to happen in person and why I went from, getting into crypto was like, okay, cool. There's an opportunity here. This is something a little bit outside of the system. It's a little edgy, different, but I can see how this will transform industries in a way to, holy crap, this is going to revolutionize everything because there is so many issues with centralized entities, people getting money that they shouldn't. We go down the list, self-sovereignty, just everything under the sun, right? So we're going to have a long list of things here. So welcome to the grease trap. So Starlight said, we get stopped in the middle of nowhere by Hungarian police at 11 p.m. In quotes, good evening. We are testing a new system with the citizenship app. Can you kindly open it? Me, I don't have the app. Them, kindly download it, please. We want to test the new police control mechanism on it. So they download their app, try to scan the ID, and the app fails repeatedly. The app also has a 1.7 star on the App Store. The police officer did the same for the other people we stopped. Shame, sorry, you can go now. Didn't even ask for my ID or license. My country is a parody. Okay, so we're back to the point of having random apps that are needed. I remember before, when the world shut down, different countries had different things where like Arrive Can was the Canadian app and there was some like $80 million or much more that was used. And it was outed that the person that developed that was like two people. And now the government's trying to get that money back. And it's a huge scandal. So now we get into other stuff. Or this is still Canada. Imagine your neighbor putting this on your, mailbox in the morning or your door saying, hi there, our truck was stolen last night, so I was just wondering if your camera had any footage. Well, that sucks. But then elsewhere, right, we're now having basically anywhere in certain cities where Miami is now the virtual check-in. Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with this, but it shows like the technological takeover that's going to happen in a much broader sense. We're going to have to be just dealing with people virtually. And what's the incentive behind these people that are working? Lucas, the kids are effed moment I've had recently was buying a car. I walked into the dealership, told them what I wanted, and said I'd pay up front, expected them to be thrilled. Instead, they were horrified. Spent the next 20 minutes trying to get me to finance it at some absurd rate. Got me curious, so after I read about about car sale profit models, apparently most US dealers make more financing now than from the cars themselves. I was such a boomer, I assumed they'd want cash. In reality, they want your eternal slavery at 19% APR. And I know other people that bought cars, and that's absolutely a thing. Unreal. So don't forget, we have that whole like online safety act that's going on in the UK. It's now going around like the US Senate right now in America. And it's weird that this is kind of happening all at one time. But internet service provider decided to block VPN sites, right? And I'm assuming this person is out in the UK with that online safety act. And okay, so you can't do what you want on the internet. And What's the alternative to that? Well, everybody needs the internet service. What happen? Whoa, wait. Okay, so depend. What happens if we have these internet service providers that are somehow connected to decentralized ways where you don't have the centralized entity that's deciding where you're able to go, what's going to get blocked, etc. Right? This is what I'm talking about in terms of like the big wake up call, because it's not affecting you or I likely right now, but you can see how it happens somewhere. It can happen where you are. And so in Sweden right now, they now have 60 no-go zones now, where there are police that have lost control and parallel societies have formed where the gangs rule. Wasn't Sweden one of the nicest places ever? Listen, here's a nice little video of a cat giving a little bit of scratches over here and petting a bunny. Listen, a little bit of positivity. We love to see that, right? But what the hell's going on? And then over here in Canada as well, so it heads up to seniors. You're becoming a target for top criminals. Street gangs are going after seniors because they see them as easy targets, people who might have cash on hand and can't fight back. Some are getting scammed and others are getting robbed. And I've seen insane videos of this. And in 2025, listen, I'm telling you, the greatest wake-up call ever is happening. And then 391 cars have been stolen in a single month in Mississauga and Brampton, which is just outside of the Toronto area, right? Like, we have massive thief rings, and it's unreal. And don't worry, it's not just in person, it's online too. What the hell is going on with Pixel Vault? So we've highlighted it before. I was a huge Pixel Vault bull. If you type in Pixel Vault Shillerverse, you'll find a whole bunch of stuff where we've interviewed the team. We've talked about everything that they've done. But this is turning out that like the G-Funk guy was like allegedly a huge scammer, a massive leverage trader that used multiple millions of dollars and then ended up losing it all. The community's totally screwed. Pixel Vault's now coming out saying like he's no longer the CEO. Everything's basically at zero. And then people that had direct partnerships with them, apparently they are still waiting for their $500,000 from the partnerships themselves. And it's like, what in the absolute hell is going on right now? And then Algeria enacts comprehensive cryptocurrency ban prohibiting the buying, selling, trading, holding, and mining of Bitcoin and all virtual currencies. All right, well, that's not too great. And then Shrapnel now trying to find out where they're able to get a little bit of extra moolah. They're moving over to Gala Chain. If you don't know, Shrapnel at this point of time is pretty much a dead game. It was popular in 2023, but now after their team effed up several times, they're considered a scam, so they just decided to move to the scammiest chain in existence, Gala. Again, if you don't know about Gala, good for you. In the last cycle, they had a ton of games on PDE, what as well, but most of the publishers and others sued Gala. Gala just has like an horrid background, and we've highlighted before where like the new CEO is talking crap to like some of their biggest supporters, and it's really stupid. So seeing Shrapnel go over into Gala, obviously Gala paid some amount to get them over there, but again, it's not really a game that's gotten the traction right now. It just feels absolutely horrible. So GameStop just launched something massive, and most people have no idea what it actually is. I remember that GameStop was at one point going to be the IMX wallet provider. You know what I mean? Like if you say like MetaMask, Rainbow Wallet, Rabby Wallet, those are, you know, unless you're in Web3, you don't really know what the hell that means. But at one point, it was going to be called the GameStop wallet, right? For like the name recognition sort of things. But then they decided to can that. But now they're doing something else here. Enter Power Packs, a collaboration between GameStop and PSA, the card grading company. You buy digital packs online, rip them open, and instantly own a graded real-world card. You can sell it instantly, ship it, or store it in a tax-free in the PSA vault. Sounds simple, right? It's not. This isn't just a collectible. Power Packs or loot boxes with real-world value, financial instruments wrapped in nostalgia, proof of ownership without blockchain friction. It's NFTs without calling them NFTs. It's Wall Street meets Pokemon packs. So that one's an interesting one for you. And that was back to the Novigrad, so then back over to on the timeline here. Woo! All right. Hopefully you guys feel a little bit of an awakening like I do. Listen, the past little bit, I feel like I've been so passive, and now I'm like, man, I need to like watch my 360. There's so many bad things that are happening out there, and what the hell is going to happen? How can you fight back? What can you do? Do you need to get out of a system? What does it look like? Man, it's weird. Man, it's weird. I just want to, hang out, play League, watch a little bit of Major League Soccer, but no, you wake up and you feel like the world is burning. But Harry Swan, thank you so much for coming through, and anybody else that's here watching live. We do the RWA Segments podcast. So again, if you follow me on X, you can click in here and then the link's down there. Or if you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description down below. Hope you enjoyed the grease trap today. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.